Welcome, everybody, to the, I believe, the 74th class, if I am correct, in the Bhagavad Gita study series. And we are entering a new chapter. So, this is the chapter on Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. Yeah, it is the 74th class. So, we are one short of 75. That's the Diamond Jubilee or whatever you call it. So, we are entering a new chapter, chapter 17, called Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. Vibhaga is divisions, divisions of the threefold faith. Shraddha Traya means threefold faith. Shraddha is faith, Trayam is three. So, um, uh, Shraddha Traya means threefold, Vibhaga is division. So, division of the threefold faith. As usual, we would like to acknowledge Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati for the traditional rendering of Vedanta as it was done for over 1,000 years, starting with Adi Shankaracharya. We will say a small prayer. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutations to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankaracharya in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati. With this everybody would be very familiar with this structure, organization of the Bhagavad Gita. So, the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 Shatkams, each consisting of 6 chapters. Shatkam means 6. So, we are in the Charama Shatkam, or the last 6 chapters. And this talks about, primary topic is Jivatma, Paramatma, Swarupa, Aikyam. Oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. That is Jiva being the individual, Paramatma being the God. Both have the Atma. So the common features of both Jivatma and Paramatma, they both have the Atma. Jiva refers to the reflected consciousness. So it is the reflected consciousness along with the mind body medium. That is the Jiva. The Jiva resides in the body, and the Jiva is inert. So it's the consciousness reflecting of the mind that brings everything to life. And then the Paramatma, it is the consciousness reflecting of the entire universe that makes the entire universe seem alive. So that is called God, Paramatma. So Paramatma is basically refers to in the macro scale, Jiva refers to in the micro scale. And then the other important topic we've seen is 13, 14, 15, which is Jnana Yoga, the knowledge of the nature of the consciousness. And then Satguna or values to purify the mind. So this chapter says Jivatma, this is about, so this 17th chapter is all about the values to purify the mind. Okay. Now, we already saw in the 16th chapter, we saw a shift in the subject matter from that of chapters 13, 14, and 15. The main topic of the Gita is Atma Vidya, or self-knowledge. But the main topic of chapter 16 and 17 is a person's goal of life or a person's way of life. So the Purva Bhaga, which is the beginning portion, of the Vedas, focuses on the way of life. This is Dharma Shastra. How should we conduct our life so the mind is purified? Then the Veda Anta Bhaga, the final portion of the Vedas, focus is on the goal of life. That is the Brahman. That is how to attain Brahman, or how to realize one's own nature. One is Brahman, but because we don't realize that, there is this transmigration called samsara. There's no need to go anywhere. It's just realizing that you are Brahman. Your actual nature is the consciousness which is Brahman. Once that is realized, then it is said that you attain mukti. No more the sukshma shariram. It is just dissolved. There's no more births and deaths. All the imprints are gone. The gunas are gone. So there's no need for it to take birth and death. That is the entire idea. So the Bija Shloka, yeah, for the 17th chapter, remember Bija Shloka is the seed shloka. What prompts Arjuna to ask a question? So we've seen that in many of the previous chapters. So in the 8th chapter also, Arjuna asks a question. What is, or he asks for different uh, terms. So what happens after death? And he asks, Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavotyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavot Bhavakaraha Visarga Karpa Sanyitaha, Bhagavan says. So he um, asks a question based on the last shloka of the 16th chapter. That is called the seed or the bija shloka. So that shloka is, Bhagavan says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastitau Nyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartumiharhasi. Therefore, let the scriptures be your authority in determining or deciding what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Having known this, having known what is said in the ordinances of the scriptures, you should act here. Then the natural question that occurs for Arjuna is, what is the nature and destiny of a scripturally illiterate but spiritual person? So not everybody has knowledge of the scriptures, but there are very good people too without that. So it's a natural, very natural question that all of us have. Should we really know the scriptures? No. Bhagavan has already said that previously in the 14th chapter. You don't need, you can be completely illiterate, but if you have faith and you act according to this scriptures, or you heard word of mouth from a authentic source, that is fine. You don't have to read this. So organization of the 17th chapter, the first 6 shlokas, Krishna answers Arjuna's question regarding the faith. So Arjuna basically says, what is the nature and destiny of scripturally illiterate person, but who has faith in a spirituality? So Shraddha is faith. Shraddha Traya Vibhaga, division of the threefold faith. He talks about the threefold faith. Then Shloka 7 to 22, Bhagavan discusses 4 voluntary topics. Arjuna does not ask for this, but Bhagavan thinks these are very important. It's faith is important, food is also important. Food directly affects the mind. The kind of worship one does is also important. Some people can worship for the sake of getting money. Some people can worship for spiritual, mental purification. Others can worship so they gain power to crush their enemies or do harm to others. This is called tamasic worship. This all the black magic, all these fall in this area. So that is a bad worship. So that is also that Bhagavan talks about that also. Then discipline or austerity. Those who torture their bodies, that is rajasic, and those who just abuse their bodies, that is tamasic. And then charity. So he discusses these 4 voluntary topics. Ahara iti chatushtayam. Ahara means food. Iti means thus or like. Chatushtayam means the 4 topics like food, etc. That's what it means. So ahara iti chatushtayam. Then in shlokas 23 to 28, significance, Bhagavan discusses the significance of the famous mantra Om Tat Sat. So when we finish the Bhagavad Gita, how do we start? Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So that's how we start, right? So that Om Tat Sat is being discussed in the last portion. So the main topic is covered in 1 to 6. Okay. All right. So with this, we will jump into the 17th chapter. It starts with Arjuna's question. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vidim utsrujya yajante shraddhayanvitaah tesham nishtatu ka Krishna satvamaho rajastamaha. Arjuna said, what is the status? Status means tesham nishta, or nishta can mean status or fate, whatever. What is the status or fate? Here, status refers to nature of devotion. What is the nature of devotion of that person, or those who, ignoring Shastra Vidim, Utsrujya means those who are ignoring Shastra. Vidhi means ordinance. Shastram is scripture. Shastra Vidhi means ordinance of the scriptures or the commands of the scriptures. Utsrujya, ignoring, those who ignoring the ordinance of the scriptures. Yajante means worship. Shraddhaya anvita, endowed, worship endowed with faith. And tesham nishta, what is their fate, or what is the status of those people? Ka Krishna, what is their status, O Krishna? Sattvam aho rajastamaha. Is it sattva, or is it rajas, or it is tamas? So he asks, what is that? Because Bhagavan in the 14th chapter, Shraddha, he's talked about Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. He's talked about Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna. Now he's asking, this faith, is it does it fall under Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas? So that is Arjuna's question. Okay. So in the so basically it's prompted, as I said, by the 24th verse of the 16th chapter. What is the spiritual way of life? What is a dharmic way of life? What is Daivi Sampat? Because last chapter is full about Daivi and Asuri Sampat. So Bhagavan has said Shastra is the best way to know this. So Arjuna has this natural question. So Swamiji will joke and say, this is more than 5,000 years ago. Apparently, the Mahabharata war happened more than 5,000 years ago. So even then, right now, most of us don't know Sanskrit. We don't know the scriptures, but that was the case even then. Very few people knew it. So Krishna, Arjuna seems to say, most of our scriptures, or all of our scriptures, are in the inaccessible Sanskrit language. How do we make sense of this? Most of us are scripturally illiterate, but many people are faithful people, devotees. What is the fate of such people? Nishta means status, their standing, their level, classification. How will you classify them? Because they have got a powerful plus point. What is the plus point? It is faith. They don't know what it will lead, but something inside them. Shraddha in the Yoga Sutras, one of the commentaries, it says, Shraddha is like a mother who protects a child. That is Shraddha. Shraddha is so powerful. Their plus point is, it's a powerful plus point, because faith protects one like a mother. So faith, when you say faith, it's not destructive faith to kill. When faith means it's pure, it's coming from deep within. Okay, faith doesn't say, if somebody doesn't believe in what I believe, I will go kill them, as some religions do. That is not faith. Shraddha, Shraddha means a true conviction of something, and you go after that. That's all it means. And it is enveloped with lightness. So it's warmth. You don't do something that will hurt. Okay. And because Arjuna's question is regarding Shraddha, the very chapter is called Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, collection of the verses on the divisions of the faith of devotees. Okay. And Bhagavan starts the chapter with Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Trividha Bhavate Shraddha Tehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu. Okay, so Arjuna says, Bhagavan says, the faith of the embodied is of three kinds: Satvika, Shraddha, Rajasa Shraddha, and Tamasa Shraddha. And it is born of one's own nature. Swabhava cha. Ja means born. Janma, birth. Chaha literally means born. Swabhava means one's own true nature. Okay. So Trivida Bhavati. Bhavati means is. Threefold is the faith. Uh, Dehinam means the embodied. So it refers to the Sukshma Shariram. So here, usually it refers to the Sukshma Shariram. But remember, I said it all these words, Atma, we've seen this many times. You have to interpret it based on the context. Here, uh, in this particular, usually Dehi means it is the subtle body. That which is embodied. Dehi means that which is embodied inside the Deham. Deham is the Stula Shariram, right? What is embodied? It's the subtle body with the reflector consciousness. And once you're dead, nobody talks about a Dehi because there's no embodied, it's gone. There's no reflection. Okay? So here, Dehi in particular, it refers to a Ajnani Bhakta. So it refers to a particular kind of a Dehi, a devotee who's not scripturally literate, but has faith. Every day go to the temple, pray. That is a way of purifying the mind. Motive, um, and their attitude, this motive, it's governed by their personality, the inclination, which is Purva Janma Vasana. Okay, you see how Janma Karma, whenever you do a karma, even a thought, it creates a Vasana. Okay, so, and Bhagavan say, Tam Shrunu, may you hear about this, and Bhagavan is going to start the lecture. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purushaha yo yat shraddha sayevasaha. Here Bhagavan says the faith, Shraddha of every person or all people, sarvasya, all people follows the temperament of the mind. Sattva anurupa. So Bhagavan says Sattva anurupa means in accordance with their own nature. Sattva anurupa sarvasya. Here, sattva, sattvam, it should not be confused with sattvikam. Sattva here refers to the mind. Okay, so sattva anurupa sarvasya means in accordance with one's own mental inclination. Anurupa, anu means to follow. Anurupa means sattvarupa anuhu means the form or the nature of one's mind, following one's nature of the mind. So faith of every person follows the temperament of the mind. Okay, so here sattvam means mind. So it is also used in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Yoga Sutras. So Shloka Sutra 2.41 on Shaucha. So there are 5 niyamas. One of the Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Shaucha is cleanliness, cleanliness of not just the physical body, but the mind also. And Sutra 2.41 says, Sattva Shuddhi Saumanasya Ekagrendriya Jaya Atmadarshana Yogatva Nicha. So Sattva Shuddhi, it starts with Sattva Shuddhi. The purification of the mind is very important. And it creates very Saumanasya, very calm mind, happy mind. Ekagrata, it creates mental focus, all these things. So Sattva refers to mind also. Sattva Shuddhi is purification of the mind. So Sattva Anurupa, faith of every person follows the temperament of the mind. Shraddho Mayoyam Purushaha. Shraddha Maya means Atmamaya means if it's pervaded by a person, is what here it shows that a person is a product of their faith. Shraddhamayo Yam Purushaha. This person is follows the Shraddha, or is a product of the faith. Yo yat Shraddha Sayeva Saha. Yo yat Shraddha Sayeva Saha. Whatever is their faith, that they verily are. So it starts with the mind. The previous vasanas are on the mind. The mind creates a certain inclination. So you have strong faith in something. Okay, there's a natural inclination to do certain things. Faith. I know every day I feel very happy doing certain things, like sitting calmly and quietly in a chair in the morning. When I'm drinking my tea, I'm thinking about something, recollecting or chanting, something like that. That is the faith. It comes from deep inside, a conviction that I have to allocate this time. This is more precious than seeing the news or something. That is faith. So, yo yat shraddha saeva saha. Whatever is their faith, that verily a person is. Okay. So the faith will depend on the mind of a person. Next question is, what determines the mind of a child? Is it genes or purva janma? So here the example that Swamiji gives is Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was an asura, rakshasa, and his son was Prahlada. Prahlada, in terms of his nature, was very kind, even though he was born to a demon. And another opposite example. So we saw a demon having a very sattvic child, Prahalada, Hiranyakashipu and Prahalada. The other example, a Brahmana, Vishravas, a rishi, Vishravas. Do you know who his son was? Anybody wants to take a guess? Ravi, Anuji, Jayalakshmi ji. Vishravas. All of you probably know him. Take a guess. This son of a Brahmana becomes a Rakshasa. Guess who that is? Take a guess.
I'm going to guess Ravana.
Yes, wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Ravana,
Okay.
he was a Brahmana Putra. Ravana Nama Rakshasa, it's not a name. It is, he is born a Brahmana, but he becomes a Rakshasa. Therefore, parentage do not totally determine the mind. It determines to a certain extent you have, but it does not totally determine the mind. It also depends on the Purva Janma vasanas, dependent on innumerable factors. And it's also the karma. So in the 6th chapter, if you remember, Bhagavan says in the 6th chapter, he says, what is the fate of a yogi who does not achieve success in this lifetime? And for that, Bhagavan goes on in detail and he talks about, so Arjuna asks, Ayate Shraddhayo Petaha Yoga Chalita Manasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. What is the fate of a yogi who does not attain success in this lifetime? And then Bhagavan says, this person, Prapya Punya Kritan Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Samaha Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Prashto Bijayate. That person after death goes to Punya Kritam Lokan, heavens, and Ushinam Shashvati Sama. Thousands of years that person is in heavens after exhausting all the demerits. Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. Shuchi, the pure Shri, full of wealth of knowledge, Gehe, in the houses of that person, Yoga Prashto Abhijayate. So that person is born in such homes. So the karma will push one to be born in those homes. Even if a person is born to a Rakshasa, the karma will come and protect. It'll create. That's the law of karma. That's how it is believed that karma works. Okay. So therefore, parentage does not totally determine the mind. Purva Janma Vasanas also determine. Okay. And then Krishna makes a warning. Do not take the Shraddha for granted, because the rudimentary Shraddha, the faith of a person which gradually manifests in the younger age, that alone determines the future. Because as a person thinks, a person believes, the faith molds a person. So I am Purushaha. Every adult, every human being is a product of this values, whatever it's born. So it has to be cultivated, or the faith also, it influences a person. Therefore, one has to have a pure mind, which will give a sattvic faith. That's what Bhagavan is trying to say here. Okay. Now, we've seen Arjuna being addressed as Bharata, right? We've seen that, oh, here, um, Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. What does the name Bharata mean? So we've, um, Bha means Brahma Vidya. We've not seen this definition. Shankaracharya says that Ratha means one who revels in. Bharata is one who revels in spiritual knowledge. So descendants of Bharat Desh are called Bharatas, because traditionally, um, this land called Bharat, which encompassed from Afghanistan all the way close to Bangladesh, Burma, all those, they're called, these people are called Bharatas because they had a thirst for spiritual knowledge. And by addressing Arjuna as Bharata, Krishna says, Arjuna, you are lucky that you are born in the Bharata Vamsha, because Bha means Brahma Vidya, Ratha means one who revels in, so one who revels in spiritual knowledge. Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshansi rajasaha prethan bhuta gunanschanye yajante tamasajanaha. Okay, now he talks about what um, the different kinds of worship that these people do. The sattvic people, they yajante satvika devan. Satvika people, devan yajante. They worship the devas. Yaksharakshansi rajasaha. So yajante is implied here. Rajasic people, rajasaha means the Rajasic people, yajante Yaksha Rakshasas, they worship the Yakshas and Rakshasas. So, for example, Kubera, they want money. They worship Kubera. Kubera is a Yaksha, it's a spirit. So, they worship the Yakshas and Rajasas. And Pretan, Bhuta Ganan Chanye, Yajante, Tamasa Jana. Tamasa Jana, the tamasic people, Yajante, Pretaha, ghosts. Bhuta Ganan, the hosts of nature spirits. Ganan means the hosts of, Bhutas means nature spirits. They worship the tamasic people worship the ghosts and the hosts of nature spirits. Okay. So Krishna says one Shraddha is determined by the puja or worship one performs. That's why he is giving this shloka. Shraddha or faith is an invisible thing because it's a mental state. It's not physically perceptible. And since Shraddha cannot be perceived, it has to be inferred through something else. What is not pratyaksha gocharam? We have to know through anumanam. Pratyaksha means directly visible. You can't know a person's faith by directly. So even though a person can put all these auspicious marks, look like a pious person, their mind may be different. So it has to be inferred from their worship, Krishna says. So anumanam means inference. So Shraddha will have to be inferred from the type of activity a person takes to. So the three, inferring one's Shraddha from one's puja worship. The three factors in worship: object of worship, mode of worship, and motive of or bhavana. So shloka 4 is about the object of worship. So that's what we saw. Now, mode of worship, how puja is performed, then motive or bhavana will be seen. So the three types of deities: sattvic deities are those which will bless the devotee with spiritual growth, values, and with character. Rajasic deities are those which are supposed to bless the devotees with materialistic well-being, like Kubera, I told you. Tamasic deities are used for destroying other people. They are not used for spiritual growth or for material growth. I told you this joke, right? Somebody, when Swamiji was going to Badrinath along with people on a pilgrimage, somebody gave him a coin, 1 rupee coin, and told him, Swamiji thought it's like a guru dakshana for somebody's poor person, can only offer 1 rupee, so he's giving a coin. But then this person said, no, 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 when you go to Badrinath, outside the Badrinath temple, there's a Kubera idol. Place the coin there. And Swamiji says, okay, fine, I'll place it. But then he says, don't just place the coin, bring it back because it will multiply into thousands. That is the belief, apparently. So this again is Rajasic worship. Rajasic worship of these yakshas and rakshasas for material growth. Okay. Now, fifth and sixth are together. Ashastra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaha dhamba hankara samyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha karshayanta sharirastam bhutakramamachetasah mam chaivanta sharirastam tan vidyasura nishchayan. Okay, this is about the mode of worship. If you practice a lot of, some people, they torture themselves and worship, right? Piercing their bodies, all that, all those are violent, and Bhagavan strictly condemns that. Any worship which involves torture of the body, it is a violent form of worship. It is gory, he says. Ashastra vihitam goram. So, Ashastra vihitam means ordinance. It is not in the scriptures. It is not enjoined by the scriptures. Goram, it is gory. These people who practice violent, gory austerities, goram, tapam, these are austerities. Tapyante ye tapo jana. Those people who practice gory austerities not enjoined by the scriptures. Ashastra vihitam, not enjoined by the scriptures. Ghoram, violent or gory. Tapyante, who the austerities they practice. These are austerities which are practiced by these people, jana, people. How are they practicing it? Dhamba ahankara samyuktaha. Dhamba ahankara samyuktaha. Dhamba given to hypocrisy, and ahankara, egoism, given to hypocrisy and egoism. Kama raga balanvita. Anvita means like impelled, endowed by the forces, bala, strongly by the forces of lust and attachment. And then it continues. Okay, so here Krishna talks about rajasic and tamasic forms of worship based on the mode and motive. So Krishna does not segregate them. You have to classify appropriately. Dhamba hankara samyuktaha, because of the public seeking for pomp and show, to tell the public, I am a great tapasvi. So dhamba and ahankara, pride and vanity, samyuktaha. Kamaraga balanvita, their desire is not moksha. All the desire is worldly name or fame or money. Whereas in Sattvika, it is for a higher goal, moksha or peace of mind. So kama means desire for worldly things. Raga means attachment. Balam, strongly, power. So in the Swamiji says in the Puranas also, most of the Rakshasas begin with tapas. They will all be doing tapas for many centuries, thousands of years, and Brahma or Vishnu will come and they will say, okay, pleased with your, or Shiva will come and say, I'm pleased with your tapas, and tell me what I should do. and then these people will give them a boon. And the first boon they will ask for is, I should not die. That's what all the Rakshasas want. They will say, then the deity will say, that's not possible. Anybody who's born has to die. And then they will modify the boon and say, okay, I should not be killed by this person, that person, all that. So, and Shiva is, Vishnu is careful about giving boons. Brahma is also reasonably careful, but Shiva is apparently very reckless. So Shiva has a name of Ashutoshi, which means one who's easily fulfilled. So he just gives boons recklessly, and he gives a boon to Brahmasura. And anybody whose head he touches will turn into ashes. So Brahmasura started chasing Shiva, and then Vishnu had to come to the rescue. So these are all just mythological stories. It doesn't mean um, Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Trinity, they're all one. It is just a manifestation of Brahman. But this is in the mythology, just to add flavor. All these are talked about. So even some form of asana practice, for those who practice asanas, if you see this article, some people torture themselves. There's a fine line between ecstasy and torment, even in asana practice. Some people go the other way, and that is not enjoined by the scriptures again. Okay, right. So then what happens? Karshayanta sharirastam. Karshayanta means torturing. Sharirastam bhutakramam. So torturing the organs which are sharirastam means which are in the body. Astam means residing. Sharirastam bhutagramam, all the organs. Here bhutagramam sharirastam means the organs in the body. Here bhuta refers to organs or entities. Entities in the context of the body are the organs. Achetasaha, Krishna calls them indiscriminate people. Achetasaha, this Achetasaha, Karshayanta, Bhutagramam Sharirastam. They torture Kashayantaha, they torture the organs in the body, and in the process, what do they do? Mamcha eva anta sharirastam. Antaha uh, in the body, antaha sharirastam, situated inside the body. Who? Me. Bhagavan says, I, the consciousness which pervades the body, they torture me also. Not just themselves, but they torture me, Bhagavan says. Tan vidyasura nishchayan. No, Vidhi, know that these people, asura nishchayan, they are of demonic resolve. The body is considered a gift from Bhagavan. I should not pamper the body, but at the same time, that's true. We shouldn't pamper the body, but we should not go to the other extreme and torture the body. Both are equally dangerous, according to Bhagavan. Okay. Now, Krishna has answered the the first question regarding faith. Faith cannot be directly seen. It's through the mode of worship one does that one can yajanta, how one worships, that one can understand what one's faith is. So with the previous shloka, Krishna's answered Arjuna's question. Now um, Krishna, ideally we should have finished the chapter in 6 shlokas, shortest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Saptadashodhyayaha. Now Krishna introduces 4 voluntary topics. These are food, worship, yajant or yajnas. He has already talked about worship in the context of Shraddha. He's going to elaborate more through yajnas, discipline, and charity. Okay? 4 voluntary topics. Ahara, food, yajna, worship or performing yajnas for a bigger cause. Even though you want something, you're performing for a bigger cause. Tapaha, discipline, austerity. Dhanam is charity. So why did Krishna pick all this? Because among all the spiritual sadhanas mentioned in the scriptures, these sadhanas are considered very important. And they're especially mentioned in the Upanishads, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. There is a famous statement, Tam edam vedanu vachena brahmana vivida shanti yajnena dhanena tapasa ana anashakena. So all these force, yajnena through yajnas, dhanena through charity, tapasa through austerities, anashakena, so through other forms, and like the especially of these three, yajna, dhanam, and tapa, are considered very important in the scriptures, and also food. So Bhagavan also includes food. A person spiritually progresses through these three significant disciplines, and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad enumerates it, and Krishna borrows these three from the Upanishads. After all, Bhagavad Gita is a Upanishad Saram. It is not a Krishna's lecture. Krishna just copies from the Upanishad. And it's also again repeated in the 18th chapter. Next, when we will see the final chapter, Yajna Dana Tapa Karma Natyajam Karyameva Tat Yajnyo Danam Tapaschaiva Pavanani Manishinam. You should not abandon Yajna, Danam, and Tapas. Food is not mentioned, but food is also important, which is why Krishna is adding that. So first we will look at food. Maybe Krishna knows that as we progress these days, food is the biggest problem because we have so much food. So maybe Krishna has anticipated and has included this in ahead. Aharastvapi sarpasya trivido bhavati priyah yajnastapastatha dhanam tesham bhedam imam shrunu. The food that is dearest to all, api tu ahara priyaha sarvasya. Also, api also, indeed, ahara, the food, priyaha sarvasya, that is dear to all, is trivido bhavati, is also threefold. Yajna, tapa, tatha dhanam. The worship, yajna, here worship, tapaha, austerity, and also charity, dhanam. Tesh, so too are yajna, tapaha, and dhanam. Tesham vedam imam shrunu. Hear about their division. Okay. And then he talks about food. Ayus sattva bhalarogyam sukha priti vivardhanaah rasya smigta stira kritya ahara satvika priyah. Ayuhu sattvam bhala arogyam. Vivardhana means that which enhances. So that which enhances the following, which is ayuhu, long life. Sattvam, purity. Here sattva refers to purity. So bhalam, strength. Arogyam, well-being, health. Sukham, joy. Preeti, cheerfulness and good appetite. So that food, vivardhana, which enhances all these things like ayuhu, life, sattvam, balam, arogyam, sukham, preeti, and which is rasyaha, which means which is savory, snigdhaha, not dry. It is dry foods are not considered very good because they make the system dry. Especially those with vata imbalance should avoid those. Then sthiraha, substantial, krityaha, pleasing. It should fill you up. That's what it says. Substantial, sthiraha, krityaha, hrudayam. It is pleasing to the heart. Food is not bland, yucky stuff. So very clear in Ayurveda also, food should be enjoyed. Otherwise, it won't be absorbed by the body, apparently. So you have to do it in a way. can't torture yourself by eating this yucky food and say I'm fasting, all that. Okay, very clearly it says savory. So it's extreme is bad, very too spicy, all that is bad. Rasya, rasam, it's savory, very delightful taste. Snigdaha, not dry. Stira, substantial, it should fill you up, not this teeny portion and torturing. Stiraha, and sorry, snigdaha, not dry. Stiraha, substantial. Hridyaha, pleasing. Ahara, satvika, priya. These are all liked by the satvika. So, in Swamiji says this, one of the greatness of the Vedic tradition is that in this tradition, even our natural and instinctive activities, what's our one of the most natural and instinctive activities is food, right? They are also elevated to the levels of spiritual sadhana. It doesn't say you should not enjoy. It says, yes, enjoy, but in a good way. So they're elevated to the level of spiritual sadhana. One of the most instinctive activities is breathing. And in chapter 4, pranayama becomes a yajna or worship. Apane juhvate pranam, prana prane, na pranam, apane juhvate pranam, prane panam tata pare, prana panagati rudva, pranayama parayana. Mixing the apana and prana, use the breath as a worship. Okay. And then Bhagavan also discusses the eating. Some people eat less food, not too less to start, but moderate quantities. Bhagavan also says that in the 4th chapter. Categorization of food according to Shastra. How is the food cooked? Quality of the food, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Krishna elaborates on this part. Quantity of food, mode, manner of eating, reverential or not. So Swamiji elaborates quite a bit on this. Our tradition gave a lot of importance to the very source of food, where it comes from. What is the attitude? Is it done for commercial purposes, or is it done out of love and compassion? Therefore, normal, regular vegetarian food comes under sattvic category. Any serious spiritual seeker should be vegetarian according to the Shastras. Hitamita ahara, natyashnastu yogosti, nachaikantam manashnatah, nachapi sarvabhuteshu. So, now ati nastu yogosti, in the 6th chapter we saw, yoga does not come to a person who eats a lot. Natyashnatastu yogosti, nachaikantam anashnatah. Yoga does not come to one who does not eat at all. Anashnataha, one who does not eat. So eating is a form of yajna. Apare niyataharaha. In the 4th chapter, it's 4th chapter, it says about those who restrict the amount of food, not starve, but moderate quantity. That's also a form of worship. And now Bhagavan describes the rajasic foods. Look at all the words. You'll all hear crunching, grunting, all that kind of stuff. Katvam lalavanat ushnaha, tikshna ruksha vidahinaha, ahara rajasasyeshtaha, dukkha shokamaya pradaha. Look at the words. Katvam, amla, lavana, ati ushnaha, tikshna, ruksha vidahinaha. Those vidahi means burning. So first let's start with katva. Katu means bitter. Okay, so you have to add the word ati. So ati ushnaha. So this has to be added to everything. Slight bitter is okay. Overly bitter. Ati katvaha. Overly bitter. Ati amlaha, amalaha, overtly sour. So amla, the fruit, that is because it's bitter, so it's called amla. So ati amlaha, overly bitter. Ati ushnaha, overly uh, salty. Ati tikshnaha, overly hot. Ati ruksha, overly pungent. Vidahinaha, dry and burning. Dah means to burn. Vidahi means like burning, dry and burning. Ahara, rajasa seshta. So these rajasic people prefer these kind of foods. Dukkha shoka maya prada, and it produces dukkha shoka amaya. So it produces what all does it produce? Dukkham. Amayam is pain. Dukkham is pain. Shokam is grief. Amayam is disease. Ama in Ayurveda, that is essentially the waste matter. So amayam means which the waste matter which causes disease. So amayam means disease. These are favored by the Rajasic people. यातयामं गतरसं पूतिपर्युषितं च यत् उच्छिष्टमपि चामेद्यं भोजनं तामसप्रियम्. Yatayamam. So yatayamam can it mean a stale, can mean raw or half cooked. So which is stale or half cooked. Gata rasam. Gata means gone. Rasam means flavor. One whose flavor is gone. Tasteless food. Puti means putrid. Maybe the word putrid has the root there. I don't know. Putrid means stinking. Puti. Paryushitam means rotten. So yet uchishtam. Uchishtam means refuse or leftover. So that's why in one of the things that is said is don't refrigerate and reheat food. That's not good apparently. It is one of the principal observances in Ayurveda also. Uchishtam apicha chamedyam, and impure. Amedyam means impure. Bhojanam tamasa priyam. These are liked by the tamasic people. Tradition says Agni Sambandhana, Agni Sambandha is important in cooking. That is, you have to use heat. Agni is also looked upon as a deity, and it brings about a taste, and it also destroys the toxins. So, and makes the food easy for absorption. In the third chapter, Krishna said that when the food is offered to the Lord, eaten, the food is called Yajna Shishtam or Yajna Prasada. Yajna Prasada purifies the mind. When it is not offered to the Lord, it's called Amedyam. Meda means yajna. So Medyam means sacred, which is fit for yajna. Amedyam means unsacred. So here Amedyam, which is impure, which is not offered to the Lord. Amedyam is considered to be tamasic food. Now we will move into the next. We finished ahara. Now yajna. Apalakanshibhir yajnaha vivritrushto ya ijyate yashtavyam eveti manaha samadaya sa satvikaha. That yajna, apalakangshihi, which is offered without desire. Apalam means without the fruits. Kangshihi, kanksha means desire. So without, which is offered without desiring the fruits or the rewards. Vidhi drishtoya ijjate, which is according to vidhi drishtaha means which follows the scriptural injunction. Vidhi is injunction. Here it is Shastra Vidhi Drishtaha. The Shastra you can add. Vidhi Drishtaha means following, like Drishti means literally sight, or just following the scriptural injunctions, which is according to the scriptural injunctions. Yashtavyam eveti manaha. Eva yashtavyam, it should be performed for its own sake, and with wholeheartedly. Manas samadaya sa satvikaha. Wholehearted. Manas performed wholeheartedly is said to be sattvic worship, that yajna or yajna, which is offered. So remember, what is yajna? Yajna is a worship you do for a bigger good. At the same time, you may or may not have some goals. You can do a big yajna so that your son or daughter does well in education, but you do it for a bigger purpose, at the same time getting some rewards. A bigger purpose could mean offering food to the poor, all those things. Okay, so it's done for a bigger purpose. At the same time, you are also getting something, or you may not desire anything. It's just for the purification of the world. All right, so we've covered 11. I think I will stop here, so I don't want to go too much overboard.